Good morning, everyone. It is now 7:30 on this Wednesday morning. This morning, former APD detective Charles Kleinard will be back in federal court. Hurricane Joaquin is now a dangerous Category 4 storm. The daughter of a double homicide victim speaks out.
Are you hungry? I sure hope you are, because it is time for Food Truck Friday.
Police in Washington state are looking for a pair of armed robbers. Here in Austin, colleges are trying to figure out what policies they'll set in place when the state's new campus carry law goes into effect.
I love dressing up. My kids love dressing up. And you know who else likes to dress up? These little ones right here.
A controversial case comes to an end in Michigan. Meanwhile, Congress lets the Zadroga Act expire. A follow-up for you. A woman who was injured in a duplex fire last week has died. Police continue to search for a pair of serial robbers whose crimes are becoming more violent. Is a drone part of your holiday shopping list this year? Well, there are some new regulations, Zach, that you need to know about before you go out and purchase it. We're now getting a look into how much money has been raised for presidential candidates.
Oh, I thought maybe something was wrong with him, allergies, but those bugs are on the attack.
Lauren, thank you. Testimony wraps up in a hearing to determine if manslaughter charges will be dismissed against a former APD detective. Charles Kleinard and his defense team claim he has federal immunity and should not be tried for a fatal shooting 2 years ago. In June 2013, he was working a Central Austin bank robbery case when Larry Jackson Jr. allegedly showed up and tried to cash a stolen check. After a brief foot chase, there was a struggle under a bridge where Jackson was fatally shot. But even if the criminal case is dismissed, there will still be a trial. That's because Jackson's family has hired local attorney Adam Lowy and filed a civil lawsuit.
You can't have a functioning judicial system when there is an act like this in which a man is killed in this way and that it's somehow just dismissed, that it never goes before a jury. Even though it's taking a long time, we believe it will get there.
Testimony in the motion to dismiss is expected to wrap up today. A ruling from the judge is expected at a later date. The daughter of a double homicide victim speaks out. It's been several months since a crime and still no arrest. Police found the bodies of 44-year-old Tina Combs and 45-year-old James Wright at this Kyle home back in June. Combs' daughter, Miranda Hall, says the last time she spoke to her mother was 3 days before the woman's body was found. Tina Combs abruptly got off the phone with her daughter, and when Miranda Hall called her back, the phone was off. Combs leaves behind 7 children and a grandchild. Now Hall is asking for your help.
There's times where I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not here anymore. And I used to see her and talk to her every day. She was a really awesome person. She was really funny. Me and my mom are really close.
If you have any information that can help detectives solve this case, call the Kyle Police Department at 512-268-3232. Miranda has also set up a GoFundMe account to help pay for her mom's funeral expenses. We do have a link to that on the web version of this story at fox7.com. We're now getting a look into how much money has been raised for presidential candidates. Yesterday marked the end of a 3-month period of fundraising for the race to the White House. Candidates now have to turn over financial documents to federal regulators within 2 weeks. Those documents will include the names of donors who have given at least $250, as well as how much of the money has been spent. A few candidates have already released their fundraising numbers. Dr. Pangarson's camp says it's raised more than $20 million in the 3-month period that ended at midnight. The retired neurosurgeon has been in second place in many recent Republican polls. On the Democratic side, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has raised about $26 million during the reporting period. That's nearly matching frontrunner Hillary Clinton, who's raised $28 million in that same time. Clinton is also getting support from a former Texas state senator. Wendy Davis has formally endorsed Clinton's presidential bid. The former gubernatorial candidate showed her support last night during an event at the Opa Coffee and Wine Bar in South Austin. The Democratic candidates will be taking the stage for their first primary debate in a couple of weeks. It'll be live on CNN on Tuesday, October 13th. Anderson Cooper will moderate. A controversial case comes to an end in Michigan. Zach Anderson made headlines when a judge sentenced him to 25 years on the sex offender registry. When he was 19 years old, he met a girl using a Facebook app. She told him she was 17 years old. The first time they met, they had sex. Anderson later found out she was just 14 years old. His original sentence of jail time, strict probation, and decades on Michigan's sex offender registry drew scrutiny, and his family appealed. This week, a new judge ordered him to be taken off the sex offender list but stay on probation. A follow-up for you. A woman who was injured in a duplex fire last week has died. Last Wednesday, a fire started overnight at 35-year-old Julie Farwell's home on Brown Bark Place, which is off Palmer in northwest Austin. Her husband was able to make it out with minor smoke inhalation, but firefighters had to rescue her from a bedroom. Farwell was airlifted to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio with critical injuries. Investigators believe an electrical short led to the deadly fire. Hurricane Joaquin is now a dangerous Category 4 storm. It's expected to turn to the north and northwest today, heading straight for the eastern coastline of the U.S. The storm has already hit the Bahamas, bringing with it damaging winds and heavy rain. Forecasters warn Joaquin could get even stronger before it makes landfall. People from New England to the Carolinas are preparing for the worst, stocking up on emergency supplies such as flashlights, batteries, and radios, and several governors have already issued emergency declarations.
This is a proactive measure to ensure that all necessary resources are mobilized in areas of our state with the greatest potential need.
Federal officials are also preparing for Joaquin. FEMA is deploying its storm response teams to the East Coast just in case.
Are you hungry? I sure hope you are, because it is time for Food Truck Friday. Today we've got Cafe E-Bar joining us, and so we have Mike as well. Hey, Mike, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm a little hungry, as we usually are at around this time of day. Your truck specializes in sandwiches, and you got something new for us today.
We do. We have our new sandwich called the Kumpa Kumpa, which Nick, our chef de cuisine, has created. It took us about 20 or 30 tries with the same ingredients to get it just right.
You always need a little dessert. Here, Nick is wrapping up, finishing this sandwich, the Kumpa, right? That's what you called it?
Yes, Kumpa, yes.
There's the pico de gallo. We got a whole lot more going. It's amazing to me that you guys did this for 30, 20 tries before you got just the right flavor. That's dedication there.
If we're going to put it on our menu, it's got to be right. And we're built on tradition, the traditions that I learned down in Florida, cooking from great abuelas and ladies like that. And so we want to make sure we live up to that tradition. So we're not going to serve it unless it's perfect. And Nick absolutely came up with a perfect sandwich. When you get a bite, you're going to see.
Yeah, you got to make las abuelas really happy about this. I'm going to take a taste of this new Kumpa. I'm going to give the microphone to you, and I want you to let our viewers know exactly where they can find you both online and on social media. Just to let you guys know, Pet of the Week is next because I'm going to be digging into this one. So here you go, Mike. Take over.
Okay, great. Thanks. So we are going to be at
I love dressing up. My kids love dressing up. And you know who else likes to dress up? These little ones right here. Joining us this morning is LaDonna Fogarty and Tina Castro. They are with Pet Supplies Plus in Marble Falls. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Who do we have here? This one is such a cutie.
This is Lacey. Lacey is a year and a half. And we have Toby, which is a 3-year-old Maltese. And then beside me is Bella. She's a Siberian Husky, and she's 2 years old.
They are all beautiful animals, and they allow themselves to get dressed up, which sometimes that can be rare. What is our little one wearing right here?
Lacey's